looks like the exact same table done in both divs and in a standard table. This is a lot like the last video. Oops. By the way, if you click that little arrow beside the number, it'll collapse the code. So I'm going to be using that a little bit more here. It starts with table, then it creates a table row. Then it has two table divisions inside of that table row. Then it has another table row. Again, table division, table division, table division, that sort of thing. And then ends the table row and ends the table. You're going to notice that the structure for building a tabular sort of thing with divs kind of looks the same as far as quantity of code. But you recognize this. Now let's go and take a look at the same thing built in in divs. So what you have is you've got your outer div that contains the whole thing. Okay, so that's going to be at this level right here, div, and then the last div. Inside of that div is a div for the top row and the bottom row, okay? And inside of that div are two other divs. Same basic structure as the table. And this is why I said that the tabular layout to get the table actually has its function. You're not saving a lot if you're building just a tabular look with the div. Now, what do you get if you decide to build the tabular layout with divs? You actually have these divs can be broken apart easier, even though they're structured this way. You can actually identify one of these divs and move it around, actually move it to the front, make it larger and overlap things, which I don't think you can do as easily with a table division, okay? And again, some of this is relying fully and heavily on this CSS. And the benefit of having your CSS over in this frame allows you to make one change and impact everything. So for example, let's say if you remember up here at the top in the previous one, I had a class equals box. And that meant this one right here would turn bright green or bright blue or whatever. Well, you can do that same thing here, but you notice that the and already has a class on it. It has the class of cell. Well, how do you fix that? Easy. Go into that class, put a space, and type the word box. You can stack your classes. So you can actually have it have the class of cell and have the class of box. You can have it have one or the other. Okay? Notice that I gave it just the class of box and it collapsed. Okay, so at this point I want to kind of give you a little tour of the table or of the CSS. So first off, what I want you to do is look at that first class up there, the table class. And this is a table class. Notice has the period there. You see flex, you see flex direction as column, you see border, you see a width, which is fit content, okay? First off, the display flex makes that table class a flexible flex container. Flex is a type of things that allows us to structure rows dynamically. Flex direction is in the direction of column, ensures that the row elements stack vertically, mimicking the table row function that you see right here. So you see this is a table row right there. So we're trying to mimic that. We've given it a border. The table itself has a border all the way around the outside of it that is black and solid. Okay? And the fit content basically allows this content's size and measurements to be the baseline from which each cell gets its measurements, okay? And so it tries to fit as best it can. The next one is we have our row class, which is display flex. Again, that just simply makes every cell a flex container and aligning those cells side by side in a horizontal row. That allows them to align themselves horizontally. Okay, so long as they are within the same div. In fact, if I were to come down here and I were to put yet another div, and let's end that div right there, and I gave it the class of cell, you would notice that I now have in the top row, I have 3 cells, whereas in the bottom row, it looks like there's a cell, but you notice that the lines are a little thinner because they're not doubled when two cells touch each other. So I have 3 up top, 2 on the bottom, okay? And so I can just continue to add content, and it will take its place, and I can do the same thing down here and just put that in place. Now we've got a 2 by 3 table. Of course, it says it has 2 columns, and in reality it has 3 columns. Okay, these divs stack horizontally because they are all in the same parent div, and these divs right here, 1, 2, stack vertically because they are inside of their parent div. Okay, this is where that nesting comes into play. Okay, the cell class that you see right here, it gives all of this a dotted blue outline. Okay, each one of these cells has a dotted blue outline, has a certain amount of padding, it has a certain amount of minimum width. So in other words, it can get no smaller than 12 rem, and its text is aligned center. The box class here is going to give a light green background. We can change that to another color. We could change it to light gray, and now they both change to light gray. In the table, that dotted background, that dotted line is red. Okay, so you notice that I've also given the divs themselves the HTML element of div, and the shared style that all the fonts will be sans serif. That way, anywhere there's a div, it just automatically assumes sans serif. I did the same sort of thing for all the table divisions, that they would have certain styles and the table, but we're talking about primarily these classes that were added onto these table cells. Again, going ahead and start building your 3 or more divisions, and try to sit there and do some structure with them, and then use your classes to affect the appearance of it. Okay, so use whatever styles you want. If I want to call this style right here purple bunny feet, which is totally fine, but I now have to go in and change anywhere where it referred to that class. I have to change it there. Otherwise, if I leave that class as table, but it says purple bunny feet right here, you'll notice that my black outline disappears. You'll notice some of these other things stop working, although these all currently work. So there you go. I look forward to seeing your actions in the your div practice in class. I'll see you in the next video.